And so, it is to come to the moment so fully that there is nothing else here but presence. This moment here now, the fullness of being, alive, knowing itself, only knowing itself, and not looking anywhere else but here, now, gazing into itself, just being. We have learned to put the attention upon the moving, changing. We have learned to put the attention on the me and trying to figure things out for the me. Whereas absolutely everything is a divine orchestration. There never has been anyone doing or choosing. And we spend so much energy and tension in believing that we are controlling, believing that we have choices. We could say that we have a quality of free will. And within the arena of free will, we have a certain spaciousness. But really, that spaciousness is about how much will we try to assert personal will and try to control life before we get slapped down, before we reach the end of the tether. Because at some point, if we push too far against the divine plan, then the tether that we're on, that is free will snap back. And it snaps back in order for us to ask the deeper questions and to stop being distracted by the play of the world and trying to control and get things for me, following the desire mechanism into the illusion of desire, where we believe that we can get things for me, that we can manifest things. When we come to the now, we come into a quality of devotion, where we are handing everything over to the divine, where we are resting in the nowness of surrender. There's no one that is surrendering. We bring ourselves, we drag ourselves to this moment here now, and we say, take it all. The profundity of this surrender cannot be fathomed by the mind, because it is a handing over of control in the recognition that there is nothing we can do to make things happen if they are not the grace of the divine, not the grace of God, of the mother. And so this moment here now gives us the direct experience of being. And the direct experience of being shows us that the only thing that is true is the presence that is here. Without using the mind to interpret this moment, without using the mind to bring in psychological memory, there is just presence here. And the presence of being is the one presence of being that just is, that just is. When this really lands, the profundity of being, of simply being lands, there is a quality of surrender that is a letting go and just letting be, letting everything just be as it is. recognizing that we are carried through everything that is needed to show us more deeply who we are. But it's not about analyzing and interpreting. It's not about trying to dig deeply to try to find out how to be a better me in order to get more that the me desires. It is the surrender of the me into the ultimate merging into the divine, merging into now, merging into the silence of being. That is unconditioned love. That is the heart. And the great glory is that here we find absolutely everything that we have been longing for, everything that we have been using our free will to try to manifest and control is discovered to actually be here, actually be here as our own nature. Great glory that the love that we have been searching for in the play of the world is actually the truth of who we are. That love is the true nature without conditions. It is a love that will never leave. It is a love that is eternal. And it is the love that you are. And here there is a happiness, a contentedness, a simplicity, a joyful effervescence at just being yourself that is causeless. And the causeless nature means that this happiness too can never leave. Even in the face of wild happenings on the surface of life in the play of the world, the happiness that is true is never ever disturbed. Can encounter something that feels very intense and be feeling a quality of pain and suffering. But when you come to the now and the remembering of being, the whole drama can just disappear in a flash. Because in the nowness of being this moment, of being yourself, the recognition is that you are not touched by anything that is happening on the surface of life. You are never ever touched or disturbed in truth by anything that is happening on the surface of life. And when this lands, there is freedom, an ever deepening freedom. Because fear disappears. It does not matter what happens, because you know who you are and you know you cannot be touched. You know that you are not the individual person striving to be a better person. You know that the truth is you are the presence that is eternal and infinite, and you cannot be touched by the play of the world. And so as these words come, it's not to try to understand. It's to let go of all need to understand and just receive the resonance. In the receiving of the resonance, there is a landing of truth that is so recognizable. It is a quality of remembering. It is an inner smile. It is a yes, because there is a recognition that what is being spoken is resonating at the frequency of truth. And there is no one understanding. There is no one getting anything. But that resonant frequency of truth just says yes, yes. And you start to align naturally with the deeper truth of who you are. You start to fall into yourself, into a deeper quality of divine remembering. This moment here now, there is a felt sense of just being here, a simple felt sense. And the felt sense of being here is existence. We could say it's your existence, but it is existence itself. It is the one existence. When you feel your own existence, you are entering existence. You are remembering existence. You are remembering a quality of your profundity. You are remembering the light that you are. And when you remember the light that you are, you recognize and you remember that the light that you are has always been on. It has never been dimmed. It has never been hidden in any way. The light that you are has been ever shining bright. So it is all about, where is the attention? Is the attention turning towards the light, staring right into the gaze of your holy nature? Or is the attention staring at the play of the world and the things? Are you resting in a quality that believes to be separate from the whole? And then in that belief, in a cycle of victimization, where you feel like the world is happening to me and I have to try to win this game of life. I have to get the things that will make me happy. I have to find love and try to keep it. I have to get security. I have to be successful in these certain ways, right? But you come to realize that this is a never-ending striving. It's the never-ending striving of the me that is invested in all sorts of beliefs. And those beliefs are like a tangled web that creates a sense of separation and division from the whole, where it is me against the world. And I have to win this. But this is just protection. This is just defense. This is learned. It can be unlearned, but even to unlearn it is to still be caught in the trap of the dream. It is actually to recognize that you are not caught by what you have learned. It is to see the innocence of what has been learned, but you are never caught by it. And how this comes to be recognized is to come to the moment here now. Come to the felt sense of your own presence. I am, I am, I am. Here now, here now, here now. Feel the opening, feel the spaciousness of your very own nature. Just simply here, the stillness, the silence. This is the truth of who you are. This is the true nature. The immaculate, pure, clear being. So as these words come, it is to feel the quality of this truth as it resonates in your direct experience as recognition. It is not to try to imagine it or create it or understand it. It is letting go of all of that. It is coming to this moment so free and so undressed of everything that we hold on to so tightly. It takes courage. It takes humility. It takes the humility to let go of everything that we think we know. It takes humility to let go of being a me that knows something. It takes humility to just be here, to just be here. But it is only in being here that natural surrender happens, and you can feel a quality of yourself that is so alive and so empty at the same time, so empty, so free, so simple. And it is here that natural surrender happens. There is a letting go that happens. Where there is no one letting go, there is no one striving. The natural surrender, the natural letting go happens when you are so fully here and you feel a flavor, you feel a resonance of your true nature. You feel that it's good, it's goodness, it's truth, it's pure, it's reality. There's a quality to recognizing yourself that is like nothing else. It has such a free and boundless quality. It's very different to any quality of getting something that you think you want and feeling all happy because I've got something, right? That's just a nano flavor of feeling your true nature. Because then in the next second, when you get something that you want, then you are desperately, desperately caught in how to keep it, how to keep this feeling, how to keep this happiness, right? That's not freedom. That's suffering. That is the cycle of misery. Even in the happy times, so desperately striving to keep the happiness, keep what I've found, that it becomes suffering just in that habit to strive and strive. Freedom is the letting go of all of it. Without knowing how to let go, without knowing how to be courageous, without knowing how to have humility. But just a quality of willingness comes when you feel a sense of being here. Because when you are just here and you feel this quality of being here, you start to feel flavors of devotion. You start to feel flavors of that pull, that longing to the divine, to what is true, to the now, as not being something different than what you are. You start to feel flavors, a resonance of something so pure and untainted that there comes this sense of willingness just to let everything go. Throw it all in. Throw it all in. Press the delete button on the me and just be here and collapse into the divine, into God. Hand it all over. Hand it all over. If it's a divine orchestration, then leave it all up to the divine. This is actually surrender. We come to this place jokingly sometimes, where the mind can't get what it wants. And it says, what do you want, God? Take it all. Take it all. I give up. But this is true surrender. The trouble is the mind comes back in and says, actually, I think I'll try a little bit harder this time. I'm going to give it one more shot. But let the surrender be true. Give it all up. Give it all up to the divine. Give it all up to yourself. Give it all up to the longing of the heart. Not to know what that longing is for. Not to be trying to control ideas of what it looks like to be fulfilled. To be in a quality of not knowing. To surrender it all to the divine. Surrender it all to your deepest longing without knowing what that means, not knowing where it will carry you. But what you can be sure of, it will carry you deeper into the depths of your innermost being than can ever be imagined. As you start to feel the truth of who you are carried by a flow, a current, and that is the Shakti flow, the flow of grace that is carrying you into yourself in deep and profound ways that cannot be imagined. All the doer can do is come to this moment, drop you off Drop off the me into feeling the I am presence, into being the presence of being. And here you find yourself. Not in the ways that you can imagine, but you find yourself in simplicity, in stillness, in silence. Just being, just simply being. I am, I am, I am. Here now, here now, here now, 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 now. Just being, just being, simply being. When you come to this felt sense, to start with, it might feel like the sense of being is at the point of the body. But as you hold the sense of I am, here now, the habitual movement of the attention to be associated with the body just simply starts to relax. It starts to relax and expand and open into the recognition of its infinite nature. The feeling of being here now, is boundless. It is limitless. It is uncontained. The felt sense of being has no edges. And when you feel yourself being here, you feel that boundless, edgeless being, the infinite field that just is. It is a field of stillness, a field of silence, and yet it is wildly alive with its shimmering nature. Consciousness itself, being conscious of itself and shimmering in its own knowing. This is the aliveness that moves as a flow. It moves as a flow. And it is this flow that is carrying everything. As you come to feel the alive field, as you come to feel the alive flow, you open to the intelligence of this field. The intelligence of this field is the ultimate wisdom. It's divine memory, it's divine remembering, and it contains absolutely everything that is required to carry you all the way home to the divine light that you are. But there's no one here. There is no one here to realize. It is the being itself that is recognizing itself, consciousness itself, consciously recognizing itself and opening to its true nature as pure awareness, a pure field of aware being that just simply is. So it is just to allow yourself to be carried by the words, being carried by the resonance of where these words are arising from, and then being carried where they are pointing to. The pointing is here now, it's immediate. It's not instructions to be remembered or held onto. The pointing is the immediacy of this moment, so fully, richly knowing itself. So really the words, the resonant is calling you deeper and deeper to the presence that is the I am presence, calling you more fully, without any sense of doership, as you feel the resonance, the focus, the intensity of the focus comes to the felt sense of being, without doing, without understanding. It's just that the habit to point towards the mind, for the attention to be pointing to the mind, just naturally starts to lose its allure. It starts to lose its habitual movement to the mind, because the alive resonance of being is more compelling, not in a way the mind can understand, but to the being itself. It hears itself, and it is so happy to hear itself. It's so alive. It recognizes itself, and it's like its little ears prick up, and it's like iron filings to a magnet, right? So the quality of being that maybe in a sense of not remembering, when it recognizes itself, it feels a magnetic pull, and its focus shifts to turn towards itself and away from whatever it was doing over there that's totally irrelevant. Suddenly, all of its focus is being magnetically pulled to itself. And as that focus of attention is being pulled to itself, the aliveness, the resonance, the frequency of the silence, of the stillness, of the infinite field starts to become more and more enlivened. It's enlivened with the aliveness, and awareness becomes super alert. But its alertness isn't now pointing to the things of the world. The alertness is totally focused and becoming very intently focused upon itself. So perhaps you can feel, as these words come, as the aliveness and the liveliness starts to get a little more movement into it. You can maybe feel in the field. You might feel it as your heart. You might feel it in your cells. You might feel it more widespread everywhere. Just starts to come more alive. There's more focus. There's more intensity. And you come a little closer to yourself. And the felt sense of presence becomes deeper and clearer. You are the presence. You are hearing yourself, and you are coming to know yourself, remember yourself. So there is a letting go of whatever was happening over there before. There's a total letting go of time, because here now, the pointing is immediate. The pointing is timeless, and it brings you to this moment, here now, just being the boundless being. And attention is just here now. The attention is with the being. And when attention is with the being, there is an opening, expansion of the field, remembering itself. So your direct experience moves from being a small dance of feeling yourself as the mind and the body. The shift in perspective, the shift in recognizing yourself opens to feeling yourself everywhere, feeling yourself everywhere, feeling yourself as the open, infinite field that just is, alive with its own knowing. You recognize you are the being. You are the being. You never have been separate from the whole. You are the wholeness of being, the heart of being. And the heart of being is unconditional love that is flowing unconditionally within itself. Oh, loving itself, loving itself, loving itself so deeply that you can feel the love that you are, can feel the quality of love you are. The love that you are is where all separation disappears, and there's just yourself being here, where all the threads come in that create fragmentation and division. You feel yourself here without separation, and there is love There is love without condition. There is happiness, contentment. There is an aliveness that is alive with a knowing of itself, simply knowing itself. There is beauty. There is simplicity. There is a flow of grace. And it is just to let go into whatever resonant flavor you are tasting. It is just to come as close to yourself, to this moment, the presence of being as you can, and let go of all ideas, evaluation, wanting, desiring. Let go of all need and turn intensely, so fully, the focus to just the felt sense of being, just to the felt sense of the presence, and let the me dissolve into what it truly belongs to. Let the mind merge with its pure consciousness. Let the felt sense of the personal heart and its heartbreak and its wanting and needing, let the personal heart open in the opposite direction. Let love direct the focus of the heart to the infinite and not to the world of things, not to the world of more disappointment. Let the opening of the personal heart be into the self, into love itself, into the infinite, vast field that is the true heart, the heart that is pure and clear and open and strong and yet tender and clear and so alive, so richly alive. Come to this moment and let it all go. Let surrender carry you into a quality of devotion to yourself, where you are only saying yes to yourself. There is nothing between you and yourself. We could say there is nothing between you and your divine nature, but it is to bring your human condition with all of its burdens to this moment here now, and drop your burdens at the feet of the divine. Drop your burdens at the feet of God. Drop your burdens at the feet of the Mother and surrender into not knowing. We could say surrender into a hopelessness. The mind doesn't like the idea of hopelessness, but hopelessness is not about despair in the way the mind imagines. Hopelessness is to let go of all of that illusory hope and dreams and wishes and intentions of what the me wants. Let go into a quality of hopelessness that is pure and true. Let go into a quality of being hopeless and being full of yourself, being full of your own fullness, being full of wholeness. Don't give your power to imagining that things of the world will bring you fulfillment. No, do not give your power to the play of the world. Feel your power fully alive when you are resting in the self. It's like you have to be plugged in to the connection with the divine to feel the power. Do not give the power to that which you imagine will bring you happiness, that which you imagine will bring you peace and love and contentment. None of these qualities can be found in the external. The mind will keep trying until it is on its knees, until it has got its forehead to the ground, humbled by life, until the only place to surrender now is to God. And then you recognize, oh goodness, I could have surrendered in the true direction all the way along. But no, you can't surrender into the divine until there is a readiness, until there is a maturity to give it all up. Because as long as the mind imagines that it's got one single strategy left in its back pocket, you can be sure it will use it. It will not surrender all the way until every avenue has been explored. And so some of us are in the process of knowing the being, having surrendered, having deep tastes of the being, but still recognizing that those strategies keep popping up and saying, maybe this way will be easier. Maybe this time the world will bring me exactly what I want. It's innocent. It's innocent. And love has only compassion for the innocent meanderings of the mind, musing and dancing the small dance. Because the knowing is that when consciousness is ready, when there's a readiness, when there's a ripeness, you are a low-hanging fruit. And when you are a low-hanging fruit, you will be picked, you will be plucked from the tree of playing out karma, and your sweetness will be tasted by your own divine nature. That's the gorgeousness. You will taste your own sweetness. You will eat the nectar of your own readiness. You will devour the nectar of your own ripe sweetness when there is a readiness. We could say every taste that you have of your true nature is bushwhacking through the jungle. It's clearing pathways so that there is more ease and smoothness in coming to know yourself. Burning away all of the conditioned habits, burning away all of the possible avenues that can create identification and can allow desire to go outwards. It's a divine plan, the whole thing. It's a divine orchestration. And at some moment, the seeing of that is clear enough that we let go. We let go of trying. We let go of all attempts to control life. And we hand over our illusion of control to the divine, to the now, to the being. So the deeper the taste that you have of yourself, the closer you come. Every transient, temporary experience is just preparing you for living in the permanent light of your divine nature. Everything is conspiring to bring the recognition that you have never been bound, that you are a liberated being in truth. There never has been any bondage. There never has been anything holding you or keeping you from yourself in truth. It is to come to this moment. Feel the presence of being here. The presence of being here is a humble, simple presence. And this humble, simple presence is the presence of being. As you come to feel the presence of being, the deeper that you feel it, the more present you are being here, the more humility you will feel, the more simplicity you will feel, the more light and openness you will feel, the more devotion to this moment you will feel. You'll feel the willingness to be here, the willingness to surrender. What are you surrendering to? You cannot understand with the mind. You can only feel a quality of the unconditional aliveness of life. And it is the recognition that everything that you have longed for is here now. How do you recognize this? Because you start to know that when you look in the world, it only ever ends in disappointment, right? It's a cycle. It's a cycle of seeking pleasure and trying to keep away from pain. It's a cycle of attachment and aversion. And the only way to be free of this is to be yourself. It is to be yourself and end the cycle of karma. There is still a process of transformation where there are karmic threads that are still being played out. And the process of transformation is this process where you know the being that you are. You recognize that you are the being, some value of it. And in that landing in the being, where the resonance starts, the balance starts to tip, there starts to be a willingness to receive life instead of trying to win life. You leave the cycle of victimized behavior and conditioned patterning, and you start to be the open field. You start to be the being that is receiving life, recognizing that life is being offered. It is being offered from the heart of the divine, from the heart of the Mother, God, for you, for you. It's happening for you. And so there starts to be a recognition that it's all happening for you. And then the work is to swallow the deep medicine of all of the places that feel like it's too hard, or there's resistance, or pushing against life. The bitter medicine is what carries you through the cycle of karma, through the tendencies and patternings that keep you bound in an idea of separation. And it's what frees those habits by humbling everything that keeps the separate one in place into a deeper and deeper, ever deepening divine remembering. It is weaving all of the threads of your nature into their clearest, purest possibility of remembering. Weaving all of the threads into divine remembering. And here now is the recognition. Here now is the openness to receive. Here now is the great glory. Here now is the grace that is carrying everything into the being, into a refinement in the being itself. As the refinement of all of life moves into the being, instead of moving outwards as projection, as there's a receiving and an alchemizing everything into the being, that refinement carries you deeper and deeper into divine remembering, into a felt quality of your own wholeness and a recognition of your oneness, the one being, the oneness, the unified field of being that just is, that just simply is. There is a devotion that comes with the maturing, and the devotion is a devotion to now, a devotion to the self, a devotion that turns the attention inward. We could say the maturing process is, it's a readiness to recognize that this journey, we could say, is not a journey for the me. It's a recognition that there's nothing here for the me. And this is all about a surrender of the me into wholeness. It's emerging into the divine. It's not my awakening. It's not my journey. It's a surrender of all ideas of what this is into a depth of not knowing, where there's a handing it over, feeling the not knowing, and letting go of this being for me, and letting this whole unfolding be in service to the whole. And with this comes the readiness to receive life and stop resisting life, to receive life. And this is when there's a readiness for the attention to turn inwards. And this is really where the true journey begins. The true journey begins when the attention turns inwards, and the receiving of life becomes a whole different, profound experience, because it is the play of experience that is carrying you to freedom. You start seeing it for what it is, and then there's no resistance. And then the qualities, the divine qualities of gratitude and more humility and more courage and more openness, more vigilance, right, start to come forward. These are divine qualities that really come forward in the maturing process, when the journey inwards, when the inner quest has been accepted, when you have started to recognize there's nothing here for me, hand it over to God, hand it over to the Divine Mother. Recognize that the light that is the spark, that is the fire that is pulling you as you're longing, that spark is the divine light, and it has been put inside you so that you can find the way to yourself. Nothing has been hidden. We have been given the biggest clue all the way along, and that is the longing, the longing. But we have translated the longing into desire, and we have used that desire to look for fulfillment to the longing in the play of the world, in the external. But when we come to the purity of the longing, by just feeling the heart, feeling that magnetic pull, the longing brings you to this moment. It brings you to presence. It brings you to what you are longing for. And what you find when you come to this moment so fully is that what you have interpreted as your longing has been the divine longing for you all along. That the longing that you feel is the longing that the divine put inside you. It is the light that the divine put inside you to light the way. And all it takes is to turn towards the light, to turn towards the longing in full surrender, in full devotion. Again and again and again, again and again and again, and again and again and again, and again and again, and repeat, and repeat, and repeat, right? It's divine surrender. True life is divine surrender. Life is living itself, and as it lives itself, it is in perpetual, constant surrender into itself. It is constantly surrendering, dissolving into itself. we could say, as that deepening comes, it is devouring itself. It devours everything that it has created, right? So no room for nostalgia here. No room for hanging on to what has no benefit in the life anymore, because we become one with everything in this process of oneness. And as we really mature, we then start to devour. We are the life itself, devouring everything that it has created as a bridge. It devours it all. And so all that remains is the divine light shining. All that remains is the divine light shining. Everything else, everything that has been created, that we have given meaning to, is devoured in the process. We cannot rest holding on to ideas of worldly things that we want to stay attached to. If we are really serious about this, right? If we're really serious about this and we're really saying yes, there has to be a willingness to hand it all over. A quality of not knowing. A quality of not knowing that gets deeper and deeper and intenser and more profound and more beautiful, more magnificent, more stunning as we approach the glory that is, right? And as we open, we can always have access to some flavor of this. We can always have access to some value of the totality, of the ultimate. Because it's not a linear journey, the inner quest. To take the inner path is to follow the light. Follow the light of your own heart. Follow the light of your own radiance. It's not about following a path in the way that the mind is used to. It's not a treasure hunt in the way that the mind wants to feel safe and secure and have touchstones. It's a free falling. It's a free falling in an infinite, unbounded, eternal field of consciousness that is being carried, being orchestrated and moved by the divine, by the heart of the divine, by the hand of the divine, by the love of the divine. Everything is conspiring to bring you to a quality of freedom that cannot be imagined. And yet when you feel yourself here now, and you feel the being, just being, you can feel a quality of what is being spoken of. You start to feel the resonance. There starts to be a recognition. You can taste it as deeply as it is available in your direct experience. You do not have to understand it. You cannot make sense of it. But you can take in the resonant frequency of your own divine nature. And there is a nectar. And that nectar has a blissful, contented quality. It has a celebratory quality. It has a jubilant quality. And to drink the nectar in, to taste the flavor of your own being, as deeply as you can taste it, is what carries you deeper in to the inner quest, following the light that is the pure illumination, following the light where there is no knowing, and yet there is a felt sense, and it is devotion and surrender that are the movements that carry you deeper. Every bowing, every prostration into yourself carries you deeper into yourself in ways that cannot be imagined. Can only feel the glory of this, only feel the glory of this as it becomes finer and finer. It is a magnetic pull. That magnetic pull is the pull where the iron filings are pulled to the magnet. The iron filings are the luminous knowings within your being, and the magnetic pull is pulling you directly to the source, to the divine. This form is just the messenger. This form is just the messenger. The inner quest is a bowing into yourself. It is a journey into your purest, most immaculate self. It is a journey of remembering who you already are. It's not a quest to become something. It is a quest that asks you to take everything off. It's a quest that asks you to let go of everything that you are wrapped in and tangled in. It is not a quest of becoming. It is a quest of letting go. And in that, you be one with your longing, and you be one with the oneness. You be yourself. You be the being. You do not become anything that you are not already. You just let go of everything that keeps you away from yourself, everything that pulls the attention, everything that pulls you into identification, by shining the light of awareness upon all of those threads. And as the light of awareness shines upon those threads, there is a releasing of conditioning, a releasing of the vasanas, a releasing of the habit to play the small game and try to win it. It is about saying yes to your largesse, saying yes to your infinite, unbounded self. It is about letting go into the self, feeling your infinite, unbounded, uncontained nature. There is a knowing in being, and the knowing is alive. And this is the resonance of recognition. You can feel it here now. You can feel it as aliveness. You could feel it as stillness, as silence, as the unmoving, unchanging field. The unmoving, unchanging field is alive with knowing. However you feel it, feel the resonance and say yes to diving more deeply in, diving all the way into yourself. Let the radiant light of your own heart be what is guiding you into yourself. Do not even know what that means, but know that the light of the divine is your heart. And when you come to the heart, it is about unprotecting and undefending the sense of the personal heart in order to recognize the divine heart, the infinite, unbounded heart. And all the while, feeling the sense of being, the unbounded sense of being, and the knowing of being. Consciousness knowing itself, ever expanding into finer and finer values of itself. As life is wearing away all of the conditioning, the consciousness is expanding as the heart is opening, and there is a fullness and a richness in being life living itself, because you are opening to finer and finer values of your own consciousness, and simultaneously the heart is opening and losing its quality of defense, so that the aliveness of your pure consciousness can fall deeper and deeper into itself without being pulled into the world, right? So this is where the merging of what feels like my life, my regular life, and my spiritual life starts to really just be seen as life, right? You're not having to go away to be in my spiritual life. You're able to live the being right on the surface of life, whether that's doing jobs or with family. Wherever you are, whatever environment you are in, you are able to see as the being that all of life is the offering that is carrying you deeper. Of course, if you engage with it as an individual, then it will be pulling your attention. But you start to attune to the subtleties of this and be able to receive and receive and receive. Of course, there's ways that we interact. Whenever we interact, there's a quality of individuality interacting. It's the way that the infinite one plays as the one, the little one on the surface. But you can be living this uniqueness without ever leaving yourself, right? You really allow the fullness of your being to be lived right on the surface without leaving yourself. And that is the profound possibility that is opening as we open into the vast landscape of consciousness, and as the heart is unguarding itself into the recognition of its infinite, vast nature. We start to become more and more aware, because awareness is the true nature. And as you are awareness, resting in the awareness that you are, life is permeated with more awareness, more slowness. The awareness becomes more subtly aware of the finer and finer feelings and frequencies and qualities, more and more sensitive. You are the awareness. Wherever awareness is where you are. So, be here now, in this moment, so fully here now. In this moment, everything is being offered. Everything is being shown. It is about being here so fully that you are not looking at your reflection as a me. If you are looking at your reflection as a me, you are looking at the world and believing that you are me and the world. If you are here so fully, your reflection is the holiness of this moment. Your reflection is the glory of just being. It is the reflection of your emptiness that is so whole and full. It is the reflection of your happiness that is causeless. It is the reflection of your peace and freedom that cannot be disturbed by anything that plays on the surface of life. So be here so fully that you see your true reflection, that you see the reflection of your light shining. If you turn towards the me, you will see your reflection as the world. And sometimes this will be so as the unfolding of the refinement process becomes more and more subtle. But as soon as the attention comes to the being, here you are, shining glory. There is no world. There is nothing else but this moment. And this moment is empty of story, empty of drama, empty of everything that we believed was important, and full of everything that has been longed for, full of delight, full of sublime treasures. And you are the sublime treasures. Unconditional love, radiant shining light, undisturbable, profound peace that is silence, silence, silence. The treasure of devotion, pure devotion. Your divine nature turning into its divine nature again and again. There's no one in devotion. It's divinity itself in devotion to itself, the self itself in devotion to itself, turning into itself again and again. The divine treasure of perpetual surrender, of letting go, of letting go, of letting go. Just being, just being, just being. In service, in service. The recognition is that this whole unfolding, the whole inner quest, is in service to the whole, in service to the divine. It is the highest service just to know yourself. It is the highest service to just be yourself. To live this truth as deeply as you can and turn again and again and again to the divine and allow everything to be washed away in the flow of Shakti grace. As you turn again and again and again to the divine, in service only to the divine, saying yes and yes and yes to the divine, without even knowing what is the divine, what is the divine. There's this bowing in, there's this pull. It is yourself, it is yourself, without knowing how, without knowing what it means, to just keep saying yes to what is pulling you, without knowing, to finally start to taste flavors of the divine, to taste flavors of what God is, where all concepts have fallen away, starting to taste the sacredness of your own nature, the holiness, the profundity, the grace that you are. Beyond concept, beyond belief. More holy, more sacred, more profound, more divine than could ever be imagined. Right now in this moment, it's all here. It's all here. The question is, where are you? The question is, who are you?